Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutrabhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Bhagavan Shankaracharya had completed 2 topics so far. From the list of 7 questions, he had addressed two of them. Anatma, that was concluded in verse 136, and then he entered into the discussion on the 3rd topic. And the 3rd topic was Bandha, bondage. And he said, Atra natmani ahamiti mate bandayeshosya pumsaha prapta jnana janana marana klesha sampata hetuhu yenaivayam vapuridam satyamiti atma buddhya pushyati vokshati avati vishayehi tantu beh kosha krituvat. So this bondage, this bandha, is the notion, thinking on an individual's part that I am the body. He thinks this body is the self, which is the not self, really speaking. Due to this ignorance, he superimposes all kinds of problems, such as birth and death, on himself. And then he goes about nourishing this body, pampering this body, trying to make himself immortal, some shape or form. All this is self-inflicted, unforced errors. That's what's happening. So, atasmin tadbuddhi prabhavati vimudasya tamasa vivekabhavatvai spurati bhujage rajjudishana tata anartavrato nipadati samadhaturadikah tato yo sadgrahas sahi bhavati bandhashrunu sake. So Bhashyakara, with great compassion, calls the seeker, "Oh, dear friend, you please listen. The perception of that on not that. Atasmin atmani buddhi. Perception of one object on another object, which it is not. That is the definition of bondage. The error arises for a person who is deluded, confused by this ignorance. And once that comes into play, so many other problems befall that person. So there are two wrong perceptions. One, seeing the body as real. And two, the bigger mistake is seeing the body as myself. The second wrong perception. The two errors together create such a havoc for a human being. So we had seen these two verses last class talking about bondage, and now we continue verse 139. अखंड निद्याद्वय बोध शक्या अखंड निद्याद्वय बोध शक्या शक्त्या स्फुरन्तमात्मानमनन्त वैभवम् स्फुरन्तमात्मानमनन्त वैभवम् समावृणोत्यावृतिशक्तिरेषा क्षमावृणात्यो आवृतिशक्तिरेषा तमोमयी राहुरिवार्कबिम्बम् तमोमयी राहुरिवार्कबिम्बम् अखण्डनित्याद्वयबोधशक्त्या स्फुरन्तमात्मानमनन्तवैभवम् समावृणोत्यावृतिशक्तिरेषा राहुरिवार्कबिम्बम्. So the first topic was anatma, which was described as the entire world and the shariratrayam. It's all anatma. The second topic, atma, is the pure consciousness. Now the third topic, bondage, was said to be, in the two previous shlokas, to mistaking the body as myself. Self-error is the bondage. And now, Bhagwan Shankaracharya takes up the fourth question. And this question will be dealt with from this verse 139 up to 144. The answer has already been given in the previous discussion, but he's going to give a very focused answer. In the previous context, it was, by the way, it was given. Incidentally, it was given. But here he is going to focus on the particular topic. What is the cause of bondage? He says ignorance is the cause of bondage. And each point is very important. In fact, our religious life will get a direction only when we have all the fundamentals very clear. Not only in religious life, spiritual life, huh? Even in schools and colleges, any subject you take, you need to get the fundamentals, basics right. If you don't get that, then you are building something with shaky foundation. This is true everywhere. So the fundamentals have to be very clear. And they are not clear, people will say, I want moksha. And for moksha, so many paths are prescribed. And this day and age, when so much of information is there, information overload, really speaking, and you really don't know what is the right information and what is wrong. So much you can get so very easily. Then you pick up on something, some path is prescribed, and you jump on that, and it's a dead end street. So you got to be careful. So the analysis should be proper, the fundamentals should be correct. So here in this case of bondage and liberation, the problem should be understood as error, and the error is caused by ignorance. Therefore, what would be the means for moksha? The bondage is caused by ignorance. So the relief has to come from removal of that ignorance. How many methods are there to remove ignorance? Simply put, there is only one method. Knowledge. Jnanam. How to remove ajnanam? Get jnanam. As simple as that. So, Bhashyakara says, Yesha avriti shaktihi samavrunoti. There is this veiling power, this concealing power, covering. That avarana shakti, avriti, these are various terms that you have come across, that covers, completely covers. We have already discussed this right here in Vivekacu and in other texts also. When we're dealing with anatma, we talked about this veiling power. So that you must bring in here and note that. While discussing anatma, we talked about the three shariras. Sthula sharira, sukshma sharira, and karana sharira. The third sharira was karana sharira. And that karana sharira was elaborately discussed. And various significant names were given. Avyaktam, Prakriti, Maya, Trigunatmika, Shakti. That was Maya Shakti. All these words were used. Then he took up the word avidya also. He talked about the three gunas, sattva guna, rajo guna, tamo guna. Then it was said that this avidya has two powers, two shaktis. Avarana Shakti, which is Tamoguna Pradhana, and Vikshepa Shakti, which is Rajoguna Pradhana. Therefore, he says, it is the Avarana Shakti of avidya. This is a veiling power of ignorance, ajnana, and that covers the self-knowledge. It's self-ignorance, self-veiling. So it is the Tamoguna Avarana Shakti. And then the Vikshepa Shakti, the projecting power. And that comes because of Rajoguna aspects. And that creates the error, the mistake. And the error is Dehatma Buddhi. The notion that this Deha body is the Atma. The body, which is the not self, erroneously is taken to be Atma, the self. So that's what he says here. Yesha avritti shaktihi. So this avarana shakti of ajnana, the veiling power of ajnana, the covering power of this ignorance, and that is caused by tamomai samavrunoti. It's full of tamoguna, saturated with tamoguna, and samavrunoti, it covers Atma completely. Atma cannot be covered because the very cover is illumined by Atma. I gave you the example. The cloud cannot cover the sun because you see the cloud only because of the sunlight behind it. But we say, we are looking at the cloud and it is in the direct line of vision, and right behind that cloud is the sun. You don't see the sun. So this ignorance is like that. It's a covering. It really cannot cover because Atma illumines everything, including that ignorance. The very ignorance is known because of Atma. If you are not aware of your ignorance, you cannot say, I am ignorant. You know that you don't know. Okay. And that knowledge I don't know, what illumines that knowledge? That is this, the Chit Chaitanya Atma only. I am so dumb. How do you know? Atma illumines that brightly. So that awareness is Atma. Therefore, ignorance can never really cover the Atma. So we have to say it is covered as it were, as if it is covered. The Atma is talked about in the first line just to show how difficult it is to cover. What are the characteristics of this Atma? Akhanda Nitya Advaya Bodha Shaktya Sphurantam. Shining is this knowledge. When you say part knowledge, man knowledge, woman knowledge, table knowledge, in all of them, knowledge is common. What is knowledge? I am aware of the part. I am aware of the man. I am aware of the woman. I'm aware of the table, all of them. Be displaced by anything. Even in sleep, when every thought is displaced, that awareness is still there, illumining the thoughtless condition of the mind. So it is of the nature of akhanda, without any division. It is there in all three states of experience. Waking, dream, sleep, never stops, never broken. Akhanda, unbroken. Objects can be divided, but not the awareness. Akhanda. It is nitya. Objects come and go, but not the awareness. So it is nitya, eternal. Akhanda, undivided. Permanent. Advaya, non-dual. It's difficult to understand Advaya, non-dual. It appears as though you have one awareness and I have one awareness. Shankaracharya says division is in the body. Division is not there in consciousness. Thus, Advaya Bodha, the non-dual awareness. And Shakti here means Swarupam. With the nature of undivided, eternal, non-dual awareness, this Atma shines all the time. So the first line is a description of Atma. This Atmanam Spurantam, the effulgent nature of Atma is its Ananta Vaibhavam, infinite glory. This is how glorious it is. This self-effulgent Atma is Yesha Avrunoti Shaktihi Samavrunoti, seemingly covered. And that is why I never claim Aham Brahma Asmi. So I am that Brahman, but because of ignorance, I never own up to that. And we have to note that incidental point, this was brought up in another class also. The example of rope snake, if the rope is totally unknown, the snake projection will not be there. In total darkness, if the rope is there, the projection will not come. So ideal condition of projection is that the rope should be partially covered in darkness. There should be a little bit of light to let you know that something is there. So here, what is the partial knowledge? We say, this within quote. This is. The very word this indicates that there is some object in front of me. So this is a snake, this is a garland. Whatever this is, that this indicates that there is some object in front of me. I don't know what it is, but there is something. In technical language, it is called Samanya Amsha. Samanya Amsha. Generally, I don't know the specifics of it. Generally, I know something is there. It's also called Idam Amsha. This part. While this are the Samanya Amsha, general with this, general aspect is known. This is a rope, that rope part. This is called the Vishesha Amsha. There is something general, but that is a rope. That is special, Vishesha Amsha. That is not known. So the thisness is not covered. So that partial light on the thisness is there. Okay. But what exactly it is, that I don't know. So the ropeness is covered, and in its place, I project snakeness. Then I say this is a snake. This is example. Now extending the same example, when I say I am, I'm not completing the sentence yet. I start with I am. That is the Samanya Amsha of the Atma. Just as thisness is a Samanya Amsha of rope. So, I am. And in that, we talked about this, even in that, when you say I am, the I is the consciousness and am is Sat. I is the Chit and am is the Sat. Consciousness existence. Both aspects of mine are clearly known. Clearly known in the sense, every one of you, are you there? Yes, I am there. I exist. That existence is known. And do you know yourself? Yes. Even pitch darkness, you will know you are there. Hmm? So this I am is known, the Sat aspect is known, Chit aspect is known. So whenever you go and introduce yourself, you start with I am. So that is the Samanya Amsha of the Atma. And then starts the Vishesha Amsha. I am. Then we talk about who that I am is. The truth is, the ultimate reality, the absolute fact of who I am is, I am Brahma. I am that Sachidananda Atma. So that Brahmatvam is my specific nature, Vishesha Amsha. But what is our problem? We don't know that. That ignorance, just like we didn't know in that partial darkness that it was a piece of rope that is lying. In the same way, we do not know that we are Brahman. The real nature of us, we do not know. The Samanya aspect, I am Chet, I am Sat, that I am is no. But that I am Brahman, that Vishesha Amsha, that I don't. So the Samanya Amsha, I am, everyone knows. But the Vishesha Amsha, that Brahmatvam, the Brahmanhood, I don't. Because that is veiled, that is covered by the Avarana Shakti. So instead of saying I am Brahman, I say, you can give so many descriptions of yourself. But all of them can be summarized as I am a limited individual. Therefore, the Vishesha Amsha is covered, and that is Avarana Shakti. That's the job of the Avarana Shakti, the veiling power of avidya, ajnana. Just as the ropeness is displaced by snakeness, the Brahmatvam is displaced by Jivatvam. Brahmatvam, the infinitude, is displaced by a finitude. Anantatvam, infinitude, is replaced by Santatvam. Not Shanta, Santatvam. Sa Antatvam. Instead of Anantatvam, it is Sa Antatvam. I am with an end. Instead of saying I am limitless, instead of that, I say I am limited. My real nature is Amritatvam, immortality. But what do I feel? What do I say? I am mortal. Having taken myself to be the body, I have a feeling of mortality, martyatvam. Amritatvam replaced by martyatvam. Immortality by mortality. So the Avarana Shakti, the veiling power, covers the truth. And as I said, it is the tamo guna of ajnana. The nature of darkness is to cover an object. Hence, Tamomayi Avarana Shakti. The veiling power is an embodiment of darkness. And an example is given. Rahuhu Arkabimbamiva. We just had an eclipse last Sunday here. I don't know whether it was visible in the US. Lunar eclipse was there. But here, he's talking about a solar eclipse. Rahuhu Arka Bimbamiva. Like during an eclipse, Rahu covers the sun. Rahu is a shadow, really. Okay, we know the phenomenon of eclipse, but it is described as Rahu. Rahu is a shadow planet. Shadow only. You know, Rahu is nothing but the shadow of the earth falling upon the sun, covering the sun in darkness. Similarly, the Avarana Shakti covers Atma. So this is the cause of bondage is described. Continuing, verse 140. Tribhute swatmani amalatar tejovati puman. Tirobhuti swatmani amalatar tejovati puman. Anatmanamohat agamiti shariram kalayati. Anatmanamohat agamiti shariram kalayati. Tatakramokro kamakroda prabhritibir amum bandhana gunai. Tatah kamakroda prabhritibir amum bandhana gunai. Param vikshepakya rajasa Urushatirvyatayati. Param vikshepakya rajasa urukritarvyatayati. Tirobhute swatmani amalatarate jovati puman. Anatmanamohat ahamiti shariram kalayati. Tatakkamakroda prabhritebirramum bandhana hunaihi. Param vikshepakya rajasa guru shakter vyatayati. So the topic is that Atma Ajnanam, that is the cause of the self-error. And self-error, when I say self-error, error about oneself, the mistake that we make about ourselves. That is the cause of all problems. So he further, Jnana is the cause of bondage. And he says the Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti of Atma Jnanam team up together. And those two have a very good understanding. They work as a perfect team. 1-2 punch they give us. They have such an understanding between the two, and they work together so well and give all kinds of problems to us. The first part of the problem is created by Avarana Shakti. Second problem is caused by the rope being covered, first part of the problem. The appearance of the frightening snake, that is the second part of the problem. Without the first part, the second part will not take place. Without the second part, the first part alone cannot create problems. The rope being covered alone does not create a problem. If at all rope ignorance creates problems, it is only because of the appearance of a snake. So here also, the first part cannot create problems without the second part. Second part cannot happen without the first part. Both of them, a wonderful understanding. You do this, I will do that. We both together make a mess of this individual. This is their mutual understanding, cooperation. So he says, Swatmani Tirobhute, covering one's own true nature. That is the first phase of the samsara project. There are two aspects to the Satchidananda nature of Atma. The first is Sat Chit nature of Atma. The second is Ananda Brahmatva. The Sad Amsha is not covered. The Chid Amsha not covered. Therefore, Sat Chit Samanya Amsha is not covered. But Ananda Rupa Vishesha Amsha is covered. Atma is Amala Tara Tejovati, of the nature of extremely pure effulgent consciousness. Amala, extremely pure. Tejovati, effulgent. Therefore, my own real self, which is of this nature of extremely pure consciousness, now it is covered by Avarana Shakti or Tamoguna. Then there is this Vikshepa Shakti, Rajoguna is also there. Therefore, Tamoguna and Rajoguna team up and create problems. So when the covering is done, the first phase is over, then comes the second phase of the problem. Puman mohat anatmanam shariram ahamiti kalayati. The man imagines. He thinks kalayati. He mistakes anatmanam shariram. This body, which is actually the not self. This body is anatma. But what does he do? Ahamiti. He takes it to be I, the self. Due to ignorance, delusion only. The nature of the body is not the nature of the self at all. I, the Atma, am diagonally opposite to that of the body. Aham Chetanah. I am sentient. I am conscious. The body, Shariram, Achetana. The body is insentient. Aham Nirvikaram. Changeless. I'm not subject to modification. The body, Savikaram. Subject to change. Does anybody have any doubt? How much you have changed through these 5, 6, 7 decades of your existence? Subject to change. Aham nirgunah. I as Atma, attributeless, qualityless, propertyless. Shariram, sagunam. So many qualities are there. Aham aparichinnah, free of all limitations. Shariram parichinnam. Body has so many limitations. Aham nitya muktah. I'm ever free. But shariram martyam, mortal. Aham drik. I am the seer. Shariram drishyam. You can see, just stick up your hand. That is your body. You can see with your own eyes. It is see. Enough already. You made the point. Let's get on with it. Even with all these contradictions, I successfully commit the mistake. And therefore, anatmanam shariram ahamiti kalayati. This poor jiva mistakes the not self body to be the self. This is all mohat, because of delusion. Adhyasa, superimposition. Bhranti, delusion, confusion. So the second line refers to the Vikshepa Shakti, the Rajoguna part. First line talks about the Avarana Shakti, the Tamoguna part. So once a mistake has been committed, thereafter what all things will happen? We have fallen, then it is a continuous fall only. Once the first fall takes place, from Atma to Anatma, the fall continues. What is that? Tatah, after the primary mistake, the secondary diseases or symptoms will cascade one after the other. So it is said, Tatah kama krodha prabhritibihi amum bandhana gunaihi. You start with kama. Kama, desire. When kama comes, very simple. As Atma, aham purnah. As Atma, I am full. Why would I have any desires? I got it all. So why should I desire for anything? Whereas the shariram, I am apurna, I am incomplete. The physical body is never perfect. The movie stars, so many plastic surgery. Right? Their body is not made of panchabhutas, only one plastic, one element. Physical body is never beautiful. And even if it is perfect, how long? As a fear, it will change. At the mental level, again, apurnatam is there. So when this apurnatam, incompleteness is there, what do I want to do? I want to complete myself. How do I complete myself? What I don't have, I got to get it. Acquisition. First, I do not know I am the Purna Atma. Then I mistake myself to be a Purna Shariram. Once I see myself to be a Purna, I have Kama, desire, to complete myself. So I struggle for that Purnatvam, fullness. The details may change. One person may think lack of money is the problem. I don't have enough money. That's a problem. Another person thinks, I am single. If only I get married, I'll be complete. So like that, the feeling of incompleteness, where it comes from, it may be different. But the fact is, I feel incomplete. Another person may say, I have everything, but people don't respect me. I don't have status in society. All these are things. Who is right? All are wrong. Because the assumption that I am incomplete, that is wrong. So then that person tries to solve that problem. Never going to succeed. Money he gets, incompleteness will continue. He gets married, still incompleteness continues. So the culprit is actually kama. If the desire is not fulfilled, kamat krodha abhijayate. Kama, desire leads to anger if not fulfilled. Any moment you get irritated. Kama krodha prabhriti bihi. So it continues as desire, anger, etc. All these have one common feature. Amum bandhana gunaihi. All of them bind you. All of them, kama, krodha, make me restless. All kinds of psychological problems are there. Vikshepakya uru shakti vyatayati. This is the second part of the project. Powerful force, uru means powerful. Shakti, force. The powerful force known as the Vikshepa Shakti, the disturbance, agitation, belonging to Rajasaha, the Rajoguna. Vyatayati, it disturbs the human being, churns the human being, agitates him, afflicts him, torments him. Not ordinarily, param, extremely, intensely. The kama, desire, is irrepressible. The krodha, irresistible. Matsarya, jealousy. Oh. And all of them percolates into the body also. The person goes through all kinds of psychosomatic problems. And then we try to solve the problems by changing the setup around. We want to change things around me. I want to change people around me. All that struggle continues. Vedanta says it would not work. Because the problem is not external. It's not the wife you have to change. It's not the husband you need to change. Definitely not the children. Change is not the government. Regime change. I want to change that regime because I don't like that. You think that's going to solve the problem? How many governments we have toppled? Problem gone? Even in this, the world itself, you see, it ain't working. We still try. So who has to change? I have to change. I have to transform myself. I have to change, not by plastic surgery. We need a Vedantic surgery. We have to remove Jivatvam and in its place transplant I am the miserable Jiva should be changed to I am that Nitya Shuddha Bhukta Mukta Brahma. That inner transformation is the only solution. Om Purnamata Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.